Unit 4, Gateway. We argue that the ethical principles of justice provide an essential foundation for policies to protect unborn generations and the poorest countries from climate change. Related issues arise in connection with current and persistently inadequate aid for these nations in the face of growing threats to agriculture and water supply, and the rules of international trade that mainly benefit rich countries. Increasing aid for the world's poorest peoples can be an essential part of effective mitigation. With 20% of carbon emissions from mostly tropical deforestation, carbon credits for forest preservation would combine aid to poorer countries with one of the most cost-effective forms of abatement. Perhaps the most cost-effective but politically complicated policy reform would be the removal of several hundred billions of dollars of direct annual subsidies from the two biggest recipients in the OECD, destructive industrial agriculture and fossil fuels. Even a small amount of this money would accelerate the already rapid rate of technical progress and investment in renewable energy in many areas, as well as encourage the essential switch to conservation agriculture. Exercise 1. We are about to embark on creating one of the most important habits of all, gratitude. After conducting and reviewing hundreds of studies, the University of California, Berkeley concluded that gratitude is one of the most reliable methods for increasing happiness and life satisfaction. It boosts feelings of optimism, joy, pleasure, and enthusiasm. It reduces anxiety and depression, strengthens the immune system, lowers blood pressure, reduces symptoms of illness, and makes us less bothered by aches and pains. It encourages us to exercise more and take better care of our health. Grateful people get more hours of sleep each night, spend less time awake before falling asleep, and feel more refreshed upon awakening. Gratitude makes people more resilient and helps them recover from traumatic events. Exercise 2. Some believe there is no value to dreams, but it is wrong to dismiss these nocturnal dramas as irrelevant. There is something to be gained in remembering. We can feel more connected, more complete, and more on track. We can receive inspiration, information, and comfort. Albert Einstein stated that his theory of relativity was inspired by a dream. In fact, he claimed that dreams were responsible for many of his discoveries. Asking why we dream makes as much sense as questioning why we breathe. Dreaming is an integral part of a healthy life. The great news is that this is true whether or not we remember our dreams. Many people report being inspired with a new approach for a problem upon awakening, even though they don't remember the specific dream. Exercise 3. Today's rapidly changing technological landscape can represent a challenge for consumers who might lack trust in technology and be skeptical of its purported benefits. Anthropomorphic thought can help remedy this skepticism and distrust, and is especially consequential in consumer product interactions, where being mindful and conscious are important criteria for evaluation and accountability. For example, in a vehicle simulation study, Waits and colleagues found that participants reported higher levels of trust in autonomous vehicles, example, self-driving cars, that featured anthropomorphic cues, example, a name, gender, voice, than in those vehicles that lacked anthropomorphic cues. Moreover, participants in the simulated anthropomorphized vehicle felt less stressed from an observer's point of view, and in the event of an accident were less likely to blame their vehicles. Exercise 4. Corporations establish rewards to drive performance. Often, these rewards focus on meeting budgets and avoiding risk. Rewards of this type cause managers to invest in safe products that pose little chance of a big loss, but also little chance of a big profit. These rewards totally block any motivation to explore riskier paths. The companies reward the speed at which low-risk products are created and marketed, even if they are hoping for radical new ideas. The outcome is little appetite for risk and an overdose of incremental ideas. Interestingly, managers get frustrated with the outcome, blind to the behavior that the organization is explicitly or implicitly rewarding. A badly designed measurement or reward system mutes the rest of the rules, even if optimally designed. Exercise 5. Values and their supporting beliefs are lenses through which we see the world. The views that these lenses provide are often of what life ought to be like, not what it is. For example, Americans value individualism so highly that they tend to see almost everyone as free and equal in pursuing the goal of successes. This value blinds them to the significance of the circumstances that keep people from achieving success. The dire consequences of family poverty, parents' low education, and dead-end jobs tend to drop from sight. Instead, Americans see the unsuccessful as not taking advantage of opportunities or as having some inherent laziness or dull minds. And they know they are right because the mass media dangle before their eyes enticing stories of individuals who have succeeded despite the greatest of handicaps. Exercise 6. I would guess that there are a few dancers who believe, as I once did, that injuries are caused primarily by accidents, slipping, tripping, running into someone or something, or forgetting to point your foot at the right instant and inadvertently twisting your ankle. But the longer I've danced, the more I've understood that accidents are quite rare as causes of dance injuries. The majority of injuries are caused and prevented by how you work at your dancing, consistently and over time. Working incorrectly just once usually won't hurt you. Your body is quite resilient and can bounce back from some amount of abuse. But if you work incorrectly again and again, class after class, performance after performance, day after day, and year after year, your body, or some part of it, will finally give out. It will simply refuse to function anymore. Exercise 7. The answer to the question about the fading of color in painting and in fabric is fairly simple. Ultraviolet radiation is a high-energy form of light and, as sunbathers are only too aware, is present in ordinary daylight. Over time, ultraviolet radiation can gradually break up the molecules in pigment, leaving smaller, colorless molecules as products. There is also a second process of degradation in which pigment molecules may react chemically with oxygen molecules in the atmosphere, a process known as oxidation. As with photolysis, this alters the structure of the molecule and, as a consequence, changes the manner in which it absorbs light of various colors. As the amount of colored pigment in a given area on a canvas gradually diminishes, so the color seems to us as onlookers to fade. So, a given pigment doesn't actually change color. It simply becomes weaker in the mix of pigments over time. Exercise 8. Since the pull of gravity influences the stability of the body during the performance of physical activity, the balance or appropriate distribution of those gravitational forces upon the body is essential to promoting stability or balance. The location of the center of gravity, or the point around which the mass or sum of gravitational forces is equally distributed or balanced, is thus of vital importance in the performance of physical skills. We know that the lower the center of gravity and the closer it is to the base of support, the more stable an object. Thus, when rugby players scrummage, they attempt to get their body weight as low as possible to avoid being pushed backwards. Likewise, when those involved in a tug-of-war pull on the rope, they try to lower their center of gravity by leaning backwards and planting their feet well in front of them to increase stability and decrease their chances of being pulled forward by their opponents.